Hollow Knight is a game with many abilities, each one having their own purpose and all being binded to their own key. But what if all the abilities were binded to the same key? Would it be possible to beat the game? Let's find out. Starting off our most run start, we can see that if I press my key, I will jump and attack at the same time. And if I hold it into the air, I will be able to focus soul to heal. Only a couple of jumps and slashes were required to pass this first area, so we can continue to the next area with no issues. Now, for us to be able to continue through the map, we need the spell Vengeful Spirit. So I made my way through the Forgotten Crossroads, did a scuffed battle against some flying enemies, and I tried getting one mass shard, which I somehow get access to. I opened the first stag station and made my way to the boss. As expected, it wasn't really that hard since I can just slice my way through him, so I just grabbed the crest, grabbed my money, and made my way up to the new ability. This is where it gets interesting. If I tap the ability key, it will activate Vengeful Spirit, and if I hold it in, it will make me do a full jump without activating it. This makes parkour very scuffed in some sections. Now, after killing the mini-boss, we can finally make our way to the next area, Green Path. Normally, you'd have to walk all the way down to the bottom of the area, but we can bait this fly enemy to charge us, giving us access to a skip. We make our way and grab the second stag station, and we can finally fight Hornet for the Mothwing Cloak. The boss fight is pretty easy, we just have to time our inputs when we get soul, and should just die very easily. Now after grabbing the cloak, we notice that we can't get much height, and this is a serious issue, but we will get back to that later. Making our way down, we can try to make our way to the next big area. There are some hiccups and one serious high wall which we can wall pogo off of. Eventually, we'll make our way to the Queen Station, where we can make our way to the This is a roadblock we can't wiggle our way out of, but there must be a different way in, right? Well, there is, but... Plan B. Okay, so for some reason in version 1.2.2, if you pause the game above a collectible, you get access to a glitch named Item Float. So if you collect 5 grubs and you go collect your reward, you can do this glitch. The rules of this glitch are very simple. Don't use any spells or it will cancel it. Where you stop holding jump is where you will be stuck floating. And if you hit a curve, it will slowly descend back down. This is so far all I know, the only way you can get back down to Fungal Waste without Mothwing Cloak. And it's also a long way down, so if you mess up, make sure not to save and quit, or you'll have to do the entire run again. Once we make our way into the Mantis village, we use their flying enemies to pogo up to the Mantis Claw. And we will have another mobility item to use. But where do we go now? Well, normally you'd go to the City of Tears, but you'll need a dash for this. So we have to take a huge detour into Deepnest and grab a train pass to be able to enter the bottom of the city. But to do all of that, we need to beat the Mantis Lords, which is not hard, but not easy either. Not being able to heal quickly because of you having to jump first makes the second phase extremely scuffed, but passable. After that, we grab our rewards and make our way into Deepnest. It takes a lot of time and we have to dodge a lot of enemies, but we finally grab our tram pass, which after acquiring it, we can make our way to the tram that brings us into the bottom of the city, where we must start making a climb up. It starts off easy, but later I hit a big roadblock. A normally easily wall jump is now quite hard because I was constantly attacking. So we must time our pokers correctly or we will just get hit off the wall jump. And after finally doing this, we have to hit a pogo off of a flying guard knight, which grants us access to the city. First thing we do is grab the stag station, so we always have access to the east part of the city. After that, we make our way west, where we can talk to the nailsmith to upgrade our nail to be a bit more efficient. But we are not done yet. After we go all the way back down to the area where we used the tram, we can see an opening for an area on the bottom left. In that room, there is an area that grants us an item for upgrading our nail again. The item in question is named Pillar, which after fighting a bit, we grab the item and make our way back to the nailsmith, and do what you expect we do. Now, we have been doing a lot of upgrading and adventuring, so it's time to fight a boss again. So we head towards the Soul Sanctum from the middle tower, where we have to do a couple of pogo skips, using the enemies inside the tower. Now after that, we get a bench, because I don't want to do all that again. Then we head towards the Soul Sanctum, where halfway through there's a mini-boss that does test our skill a little bit, but eventually goes down. Now we can finally fight a boss that will grant us a new ability. It's not a crucial ability, but it's a nice one for sure. As for the boss itself, it's a standard jump and run boss, where we must just try to get as much hits as possible and find the best opening to heal. Soulmaster has a lot of ranged attacks, so getting in close is going to be the best way to dish out the most damage. After beating him up, he reaches his second phase where he spams his ground slam and uses fireballs. It's quite annoying because it's hard to hit him when you're right under him, but it's definitely possible. After beating him up, we grab his spell and make our way out, and we head west to unlock the next stag station, the storage room. We use said stag station to go back to a certain area to fight a mini-boss for their charm notch. And we also speak to the charm notch lady in Southeast Forgotten Crossroads, in which we buy a charm notch. But now we have a choice to make. Either we head back down to Double Jump, or we head up to the Crystal Peak for Crystal Heart. Only one of the twos are needed to beat the game. But I choose Double Jump, because knowing Crystal Peak, you'll need dash for it. So we head down to this. However, I soon noticed that Double Jump wasn't an option either, because we actually need Crystal Dash, but as said, that is not an option. Surely there has to be another way, right? Well, I'm sure gonna try to find one. So I thought of a plan. Why don't we try using item float again? There is a certain collectible item that is possible to get if you get 3000 cash, so we might as well start collecting. And while I was doing that, I went to the bottom right of the city to grab the attack speed charm Quick Slash, and also make money. The enemies there tend to give a lot more geo than normal enemies do. So after we acquire enough geo, we go back down to see, all my work was for nothing, because the collectible is just out of reach. And thus we have no other choice but to go grab Dash and unbind it. This means our challenge ends here. But for the sake of this video, and the fact it took me a while to get all of this to work, we will continue. First we head to the north top of the city, where we grab Dreamnail, because this is necessary to beat the game. We do have to do some very risky easy parkour to get there though, but it works out. And after grabbing it and waking up, we notice that it's not easily activated, but we'll get back to that. Now, we head back to grab Dash and unbind it. So we easily beat up Hornet, she never stood a chance against a level 2 nail, and we grab and unbind the Dash for later use. And thus, after beating up the mini-boss in Crystal Peak, we use our 1, 2, 3, 4 dashes and finally grab Crystal Heart. But another issue arises. I can't activate Crystal Heart either. It does not matter what I do, it just won't activate. So that is another item on the unbind counter. But now let's go grab Double Jump. Using another Crystal Dash, we get access into the area and fight the boss. Broken Vessel is actually a joke with a level 2 nail, so it went down as quick as can be. But after that's done, we finally get a movement item that opens up most of the game. We still need one more item to be able to beat the game, but for now we should fight a boss to get access to the first dreamer of the game, the Watcher. To get access to this place, we use our Double Jump on a ledge that leads up to the highest tower in the City of Tears. Afterwards we must hit some switches, and there we are. But before we enter, we hit a secret wall that allows for one of the knights inside to be permanently destroyed, making it easier. However, that does not mean that the boss fight isn't hard either. Not having dash makes moving quickly quite hard, and I have died a couple of times in this fight. But still, having a level 2 nail makes cracking them quicker. So finally, after a while, we beat them. Now another issue arises. Like said before, we don't seem to be able to activate our Dream Nail. However, after doing a really weird button combination, we somehow activated it, which allows us to finally finish our first Dreamer. I don't know why the same button combination can't be used for Crystal Dash, but it is what it is. Now for our next dreamer, the teacher. But we can't access them yet. We need the last ability that's left, Isthmus Tear, which allows us for swimming in acid. So we head down from the sewers under the city and then proceed to stomp the dummy gun. Then we use one more crystal dash to get access into the ability area. Afterwards, we do battle with the guards and grab the ability. We can now swim in acid, meaning it's time to head to the teacher already. And once we do, we have to fight probably the most boring boss in the game, Umu. It can take a while if you don't have a good weapon, but we have level 2 now, so it goes down after 2 cycles. And thus we have another dreamer we can access. So I do my weird dream now ritual and I make it work out again. Now we have but one more dreamer to go, which is in Deep Nest. But since we have Isthmus Tear, we can head into the Queen's Gardens and take a shortcut. I did die a lot to the flying mantis enemies because it's quite hard to focus on hitting them when they fly so far away from you. But none can surpass the power of the level 2 nail. There is also a parkour section that we normally need dash for, but we can just make it with double jump. Now we finally can go back down to Deep Nest. There is an annoying section where you need to hit a frame perfect pogo or you'll get sent back up. But after doing that, the hidden village is finally in sight. We get beat up, and normally in this section you'd have to press slash 4 times, but because of our challenge, whenever we try to free ourselves, it presses jump, making us do a different animation. I was stumped, but then I just spammed it as fast as I could, and then I slashed 1 time. And thus I knew this wasn't an issue anymore. It's quite hard fighting the big enemies in this area, because you need to retreat as quick as possible, and we don't have dash. But eventually, we get to the last dreamer. We do our song and dance again, and we dream nail them. And then we did it. All dreamers are gone, which means we get access to the final boss. So once we get access to the stag station, we head to Dirtmouth and we go down to the boss gate. And thus it begins. For the first phase, it uses many dash attacks. With a double jump, we can easily dodge them. Healing is the hardest part, because we have to first double jump before we can even commit to a heal. Best move we can use is probably Ground Slam spell, giving us invincibility frames and doing average damage. After a while, the second phase starts, where the Hollow Knight switches to more projectile attacks, flies, and also tends to trip when using his blade. And after enough hits, and one more jump, we beat the game. This took way too long to be able to accomplish, so if you got the time, please give me a subscribe.